Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lecca Queen podcast. I have a special guest here with us today, and his name is Wesley. He's from Wesley's Plant World, a gorgeous, gorgeous soul, and it's a beautiful bouquet channel with lovely indoor plants and outdoor plants as well. Thank you, Wesley, for joining me today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on your channel. I can't believe I've been invited. This is so exciting. And getting a chance to speak to a fellow plant YouTuber, this is just amazing.
I know, it is amazing. And we'll probably be talking for like 6 hours and have to edit that down to like 45 minutes. So,
Well, yeah, I'm sure we can go off on a tandem, that's for sure.
we could. But one of the things that I really loved about you, Wesley, is just the energy that you have. It's so infectious. I watched one of your videos and I was just like, oh my God, this guy is so effervescent. What I've loved about you is, like I said, how you feel about houseplants and the role that they play in your life. So the first thing that I want to ask you, and I'd love for you to address, is why are houseplants important for our lives in general?
Basically, the first thing about it is that we're living in concrete jungles for the most part. And a lot of people have kind of lost touch with nature. And I basically started my channel because I want to encourage people to get back into nature and bring it into your home, not just have it outside your window or when you go for a walk in the park, which is fantastic as well, but also bring it into your home environment so that you can feel the energy that comes from the plants around you. And basically, just seeing green plants around you is enough to make you feel calmer, feel like your home's more tranquil. And I don't think it's anything we think about consciously. I mean, we'll go out and we'll see a beautiful plant and think, oh, I want to take that home and water it and take care of it. But when you bring it home, and especially if you have a few more plants, like you can see behind us, there is this whole ambience about it, this calmness.
That's right.
So, I mean, you don't have to have plants all over your house. If you just have a corner where you have plants, you can feel when you sit there compared to you sit in a room that's just got white walls, the difference.
Yeah.
That they speak to you through their energy. They calm your body system down. And that is one of the most important things I think about having plants in your home. It's the energy exchange, what they give to us.
That's an aspect of plants that we really don't talk about. We talk about how to care for them and all the rest of this, but really what they bring to our souls, you know, how we commune with the plants as fellow living creatures on this green earth. I think we don't talk enough about that.
If you have any kind of anxiety or depression, or if you have any kind of things going on through your mind, you know, lots of thoughts. We have a lot of thoughts running through our mind because of our jobs, looking after our families, doing all sorts of things. Sometimes when you just sit and want to contemplate, they help to just relax you, bring you back down to earth.
I love what you've said there, where, and I think one of the things that's manifested a lot in the last, couple of years with COVID throughout the world is a lot of people have gotten into houseplants over that time. And I think a lot of that, consciously or not, we were looking to find a connection to try and combat the isolation and the loneliness that we were feeling. And this was a way of getting into that. And, a lot of people went through that phase as well.
Yeah. And I'd say, I mean, for many of us that like plants, we've had plants from when we were young, I suppose. A couple of plants on the windowsill. You didn't really know what they were. You didn't know what their name was or anything like that. You just enjoyed having the plant around you. Yeah. And I think even before COVID came around, people had a few plants, but it became more because a lot of people have this innate sense of wanting to nurture something or somebody else. Yes. And to me, I could say my story grew with getting lots more plants is when I couldn't have pets anymore because I loved having pets. I've had dogs, cats, squirrels, rabbits, everything, basically, horses. And then my lifestyle changed. I become cabin crew, so I was flying on long and short haul flights and I couldn't be home enough to look after pets. Yeah. And that's when I started collecting a lot more plants because I still have this need to nurture somebody else. And I see these plants as sentient beings and they all have
because they are. They definitely are. I think so too. I really, really do. They are, it's we might not understand it. We don't understand how they communicate with each other and they communicate with us, but there's definitely something there.
Yeah, for sure.
So talking about communication, how do you think plants communicate with us?
Well, we've just gone through the energy part, the energy exchange. I have a couple of stories with my plants, and this is kind of going out of that box as well. I have a Crassula ovata in my cottage, and at the moment I'm in my apartment, and I've been here for the last 3 weeks. But when I was finishing my course that I've just been doing, I was at my cottage for around about 6 weeks. And, my plants, when I'm around them, they seem to boost up. They shine more. They're happier. They're more content. Something happens between them and I. And so my plants were happy. Then I was away for a couple of weeks, and I was getting these thoughts in my mind. Oh, I need to go back and water the plants at the cottage and so forth. So I went back to the cottage. I think it was around 3 weeks later after being away. And I went into my bathroom where I had my huge Crassula ovata, my jade plant. I absolutely love it. And there were leaves all over the floor. And I had a panic attack, basically. I was like, I love this plant. What has happened with this plant? So I got this message in my mind that said, just clean up the leaves and everything will be fine. So I was like, okay, right. The leaves were all dried and curly on the floor. So I just started sweeping up all the leaves. And then I looked back at my Crassula ovata, and it didn't look like it had lost a single leaf. I couldn't see any difference on the plant. So basically,
did it miss you?
It missed me. My plant, it threw a fit because I wasn't there. But it wasn't in a way that the leaves had all fallen off and it was bare. My plant was still fine and it was still green, and it didn't need watering. It was just, I don't know, something happened.
It missed you.
It missed me. And I'm telling you, I think that plants, if we talk about plants and language, we try and understand it as human beings and relate what we do with each other. But it's not the same way, of course. But plants definitely attach to energies that are around them. And they can, I believe, feel if a certain person's there that tends to them, they get used to you being around in your energy field.
Yeah.
And when it's not there, then something shifts. Because when I'm not here in my apartment, I could be gone from my apartment sometimes a month at a time, and I have to get my husband. We have to go on FaceTime, and he helps to water the plants and so forth. So I know they're watered, they're being attended to the way they need to be. We can make sure each one gets what it needs. But when I come back, they still don't look as vibrant and happy.
They look sad.
They look sad. They've had the water, so they're not, hanging and things like that. But, of course they're going to have yellow leaves and things like that because he doesn't know how to tend to plants in that way, but he's got better.
Yeah.
But it's more that I think it's the energy field. I'm not there.
Yeah.
But when I'm home, like I've been home now, I think my plants are looking amazing again.
They perk up, but that's really, I've never thought of that, but now that you've said it, it's just so true. It's so true.
If we talk about them talking to us and things like that, they're teaching us to look at ourselves more. You have to have a certain kind of sensibility. You have to be kind of empathic in some way. You have to have some kind of routine. You have to want to do this. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, what's the point of getting a plant if you're just going to let it sit there and wither away?
Yeah, yeah.
That's not the reason why people get plants. They get plants because they want to feel good about themselves. And then they translate onto the plant, and then the plant translate back to them what they're doing. If it's healthy,
what they're doing, then
you as a person feel fantastic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you absolutely hit the nail on the head there. Go into 100%.
Want my channel to be that people start getting frightened of, okay, I'm never going to be able to get to that level. It's going to be too advanced. There's too many aspects to think about. It's just too crazy. It's not as calm and relaxing as I thought it was going to be. It's also okay to just go on your journey and just pick up some tips about a certain plant if you want a certain plant to help you in the beginning, and then just go on your journey. If you want to have plants in soil, if you want to have them in plants like the Lecca Queen in Lecca, you can try lots of different things. There's so many different aspects. And then when you get into propagating, it's just so exciting because then you start getting babies. I love that plant.
And we love babies.
We love babies, and it's just so exciting seeing roots grow out and seeing new plants coming up. And everything can be multiplied in some way.
Talk to me about the healing properties of plants.
Well, I'd say again, that's going back to the energy exchange in the beginning when we was talking about that. And basically, you can use plants in many different ways. Just looking at plants. So, for example, you might be someone who's not very interested in the houseplant care and all this part of it, but you might enjoy just seeing plants. So you might go to a botanical garden or to parks and so forth and sit and enjoy looking at the plants. And it also gives you that kind of escape, and it gives you that moment to slow down, think about certain things, block out other things. Just brings you back to feeling that you are part of nature, and we're more than just this racing around on the rat run or whatever you call it. bringing you back to the basics. And another thing I really like about plants that I think is really important is that us as adults, we very often shun anything that kind of seems childish or takes you away from the adult norm. So if we start talking about talking to your plants or the energy and all that kind of stuff, it seems, okay, that's going off the path, you know. Why not? We need to reopen and reallow ourselves to be innocent with our plants. And I think that is a healing aspect of plants. If you're at home on your own with your plants, you can do what you want. There's no camera on. You don't have to worry about what other people are thinking. You can talk to your plants. You can sing to your plants. If you want to put music on, you can dance with your plants. Why not? There's nothing wrong with that. So it's about they heal you. They bring you back out of your shell. They bring you back out of these categories and us being bound to certain aspects in life as an adult. I think that's part of it. And it's also the same as if you have pets and things like that. It brings you back down to, because they're not doing anything that is expecting anything of you with semantics, with words. They're not plaguing you with, oh, you're doing this wrong. You're like that. This is, You can do whatever you want, and you'll see if your plants are happy or not, but you're not being judged. They bring you back to a place where you don't feel judged. You can think about people, there's been evidence of people in hospitals and things like that, you know, they heal quicker if they can see the green environment around them, plants, rather than being in a sterile room. It's not giving you anything, not giving you any benefit.
No.
And it does need to be real plants as well. I think if you're in a room full of fake plants, plastic plants, you will not get that same feeling.
Don't get started about plastic plants.
No, what that is, do not go there. If you want to get this effect and you're thinking you can go halfway and get yourself plastic plants, forget it. You're not going to get any energy out of that.
There's everything wrong with plastic plants, because with plants you need staying power. It's like you know, a dog is not just for Christmas. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, you just gotta be there 100%.
You've got to be there. You've got to carry on and
constantly.
It's
like I just watered you yesterday. Yeah. Now I need watering again today. And tomorrow and the day after, and it just goes on. And that sort of builds a resilience in you as well. You know, you're more, you know, I find that I'm more likely to stick with something and press on with something. I think even more so than I used to in the past. You know, you've got a plant that's dying. You're like, what's going on? You move heaven and earth to find out why this plant is dying. And try and fix it.
Exactly. Yeah, they do. They do teach us that we're more resilient. We can do more. We can achieve stuff. And when you achieve something, you always feel good. It builds up those hormones in you that make you feel good. And that's what you want to see. You want to see the result.
Dopamine hit. For free.
Yeah, we need it. It's not just looking at a load of quick fix videos. You're doing something with something living for yourself.
You are. It's really the doing something as well. You are experimenting with plants. You know, what's your take on that?
Oh my God. I love it. That is the most exciting thing for me with plants. And that's why I would say anyone, you can go out, get a plant. And well, what I did in the beginning, I just got anything and everything. And then I tried to read up about some things on the internet and did it that way. I mean, I would suggest nowadays that you read up on the plant first, then get the plant, and then you can experiment. But, you know, if you're just getting into plants, you don't have to. You don't have to follow all these rules and regulations. If you like a plant, get it. And if it's going to work for you, it will work. It doesn't. You will learn. And if you still want that same plant, then you'll think, okay, well, I should have maybe researched a little bit more, and you'll do that. And then you'll get that same plant and you will have learned something else. And that plant will probably stay alive for a year or maybe much longer. So, you know, experimenting is not just the chopping up and the propagating and repotting. It's getting different plants and seeing if you actually can get that plant to grow out of its comfort zone in your home, because basically that's what it's like. I mean, all our homes have different circumstances, the humidity, the light, the, you know, temperature, everything. And, you know, we could hear that a certain plant can't be in too much shade, and yet in your home it might survive because there's some light coming around the corner and it does fine, you know. I found that in my garden as well with many plants. So, it's just, again, it brings you back to this. I can go back to being my science class and try something and experiment. And also when it gets into like propagation and things like that, you discover so many things about so many different plants that you didn't realize. For example, many years ago when I was younger, I didn't realize that many succulents, you know, when they leg out because they're searching for the sun, they're in the wrong place, that you could go and chop and propagate that and start again. So it would end up being that plant's legged out, it looks horrible, chuck it away, because you
chuck it away.
You don't know what to do.
Missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity, and you could have got a lot more plants out of it at the same time. Every leaf, every part of the stem. So you discover all these different things. And also, for example, right now I have a philodendron pedatum. I had a big one. I mean, it was beautiful. It worked well for me. And then I started pruning it back, and it just, I don't know why, it just died.
Didn't like it.
But I mean, these plants usually can take that kind of thing, but this one didn't. And I managed to save one part, and that's growing out, and I don't have a moss pole. I don't have anything special. It's just in soil with a stick, and it's all growing out at the top. And I'm like, well, I will change this up at some point, but I just want to show people that if you haven't got those means right now, it's still okay.
It's still okay.
Survivor. That plant wants to survive. It will do its best for you as long as you do your best in the situation.
Yes.
That's also an experiment. You don't have to go out and buy all the expensive things in the beginning, because startup can be quite expensive, and that puts people off.
Yeah.
You know, if they think they've got to go out and get these special poles and moss, and they've got to get all these nutrients, and they've got to get this special soil and this aerobic mix, and sometimes it's too much for people. So
it is.
You can use
I really love that you've said that, because I think by the time someone gets to a point where they're making a YouTube channel, or, you know, they've got a serious Instagram page, we've all gone through these journeys.
Yeah.
And that you're now at the top end of things, and this is what we're presenting to people. Yeah. And first time plant person is watching it and going, what? You know, it's all too much. But we ourselves actually have gone through the phase of going and buying potting mix from the shop, you know, which I would never do now. No. But I did then, because it's something I needed to do to actually learn for myself that this is probably not the best way to go for my plants.
Yeah. And it's fantastic to do that I mean, I still do things like that because I just want to experiment. I experiment in every which way, even though now I've seen so many videos. I see people doing fantastic stuff, and I know how you should do it the correct way. I would say the way that would be most optimal for a houseplant. But I still go around the windy roads. I still like to test the plant's ability. I like to test if a plant will be able to be plonked in some normal gardening mix and put some other stuff in there and with a stick and see if it will work. I just want to show people that level as well, because that will encourage more people to think I can do it. It's not that you go from nothing to I've got to be at this high level. And freak out and think.
And there's I always say, and I hope this is a message that comes across on my channel, is there is no right way. There's no proper way. There's just a way that you do it. And there's a way that it works for you. It works for your plants in your environment, because it's all very well and good for me to sit here and tell you this is what you need to do. My house isn't your house.
No, yeah. And it's also, it depends on time and so forth. I mean, I'm so surprised. I think what you do is a very high level. I think fantastic. And you've got 3 kids and all this and that. You know, it shows what you can do with your limited time. You can still reach that level. So, I mean, go through the whole process and experiment. And if you go out and buy as your first plants or so forth, really expensive plants, then you're going to really want to go online, study, make sure you get everything right. I'm talking about basically plants that you can get in any supermarket. Go and get one of those. Get one of those, experiment with it, do different things with it, and see what happens. You might discover something completely new about the care of this plant in your environment. That's all so much fun. So, I mean, I'm not going to go out and get myself an expensive Monstera Delicioso and just stick it in some But, you know, if you go to the supermarket and you see a golden Epipremnum aureum golden, you know, the golden poppers, well, they're everywhere, and you can.
And there's a dime a dozen of them. Grab that.
Grab that, experiment, do different things with that.
And you can't kill those things.
No, basically not. So
let's talk about how they can cause stress.
Yeah. Well, if you get too many plants, like, as I said in the beginning, when I started getting lots and lots and lots of plants that didn't have the knowledge really and just wanted to have them because they were beautiful, it can all look well and good in the beginning, but then it suddenly becomes stressful when your house is full of pests, when your plants are full of yellow leaves, when you don't have the time to water all these plants, especially if they need different watering regimes. Pruning regimes, light.
So you've constantly got a watering can in your hand, constantly watering.
Yeah, you're constantly going on, you're constantly worrying. that means you've overdone it. So there is, of course, I mean, there's a saturation limit with everything. You need to just have a decent amount that you think you have time to care for. So if that's 5 plants and you can keep those 5 plants really happy, why not? And if you're going to have a lot more plants and you don't have much time, then go for plants that are easy care, that don't need much water, maybe like ZZ plants or Dracaenas, the Sansevieria types. Pothos plants, things like that. But basically, they can stress you out if you overdo it. Because then, I mean, pests can be a huge problem. If you start getting an infestation, then we're also talking about economy. That can stress you because you're like, okay, I'm going to have to throw all these plants away and start again. Yeah. So, of course, it's stressful if you go over the limit of your threshold. But that's a learning curve as well, and you'll readjust it. I mean, I've been downsizing the amount of plants I have and adjusting it to plants that cope for longer periods without me having to be around with watering and so forth. I don't have the time living between 2 homes with plants that need a lot of water, need to be constantly moist and light conditions, things like that. So that also is a learning curve and a discovery. But of course, that can be stressful. It is. Yeah. And another thing that would be really stressful is if you go out and buy plants. This is quite annoying when you think about people going out plants just because they're trending, these expensive plants, because then you're going to be focusing more on the cost of the plant than the enjoyment of having the plant. And then, of course, the plant, that's a stress. You're not enjoying that plant because you're stressed about it costs you so much money that you need to just keep this thing alive. And if anything happens, you've lost all that money.
Which you have.
If something happens. So basically, that's it. You know, that's how plants can be stressful. You don't want that. You want to, the whole point of getting plants is to calm you down and have the time to sit and appreciate them. It's not about going around and fixing and doing things for your plants all the time. You need to have that now in the moment time.
Downtime and just
sit and look.
You're so pretty. Get
your cup of tea or coffee or your whatever you want to drink and just sit there and enjoy them, the ambience of the lights and things you have around. Because if you have too much, then you're going to be thinking, oh, tomorrow, right, I have this section I need to water. The next day, maybe that. I need to prune those. I need to fertilize that. I need to... And it can be too much.
It can. I mean, for me, like you, I'm really starting to cut down on the number of plants that I've got, getting rid of quite a lot of them, just trying to get to us. I mean, because my life is so busy anyway. I just cannot get like too many more.
No, there needs to be an equilibrium. It needs to be a comfortable zone.
And I think it's accepting the fact that no, I can't have all of them. And no, I don't have the fancy trendy one. Because no, I'm not getting any more plants right now. I'm just focusing on the ones I've got.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe replacing the ones that I killed so I can complete my alocasia collection.
Well, I've gone through a few of those and they've been crossed off my list now because they don't work in my home the way I live and so forth.
Talking about tanking. So if my plants die, does that make me a bad person?
No, you're not a bad plant parent if your plants die. And a good reason for this is, I've thought about this, is if you go to a nursery and you want to get a Monstera deliciosa, you'll see 20 plants there, right? And the chances are they are all clones of the same plant together there. So basically, you're seeing the same plant in 20 pots. So plants aren't like us humans as one special human being. You're one. When you're gone, there's no more you. But plants, we can clone them. There's no cloned human beings. There's no two of us. So if your plant dies, even though you've done your best and you feel sad about it, if you go back to the same shop, the chances are you'll get
you can pick up the same plant.
It might not be that one you've nurtured, but it's the same plant. And especially nowadays with all this tissue culture, there are thousands of the same plant coming out and spreading themselves around this planet. So I think that is one way of thinking, no, you're not a bad plant parent. You can definitely go out and find yourself another plant that looks exactly the same. Your plant, of course, when you bring it home and how you look after it is unique to you and it's a unique plant, but it's still a clone. You're not, and especially if you have a lot of plants. I mean, these things happen seriously all the time and you can't you can't be on top of them all the time, and they're living.
You cannot.
They're living beings and they have a different life cycle than us humans. You know, you can't go and chop off someone's arm, stick it in a pot and it'll grow another one of you, but you can do that with plants. But you can do that with plants. So it's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
The only thing you'll feel bad about is if you've gone out and bought an expensive plant and it dies, you'll be worrying again about your economy and not the plant as much. You can get
That's
another one.
invariably what tends to happen, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
we're going out and buying these expensive plants,
Yeah.
and then it dies, and you just feel absolutely awful.
You know what? I have a story about this. I did that.
What did you kill?
I killed a really expensive Monstera deliciosa variegata. I just had to have this plant. I saw it in the shop. It was the only one. And I'm like, I've got to take that home. I want it.
It's got my name on it.
Got my name on it. And I did everything wrong because I brought it home. I transplanted it into a terracotta pot the same day, put it in a corner, and it dived in the soil. I did everything wrong, And my plan was, of course, I'm going to grow this plant out. I'll start taking cuttings and all sorts.
And I'll be ching, 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 ching.
Yeah. So basically I learned that, well, when you bring a plant home, you shouldn't go and transplant it to a new pot straight away unless you really, really have to. Most plants do not like that. So give it a chance to acclimatize to your home and then really know what kind of substrate that plant wants.
Now, one of the things I love about you is how you've got indoors, you've got outdoors, and you're really passionate about outdoors. So how do you plan, your life around your plants inside, your plants outside? How are you managing all that?
In the beginning, it was quite difficult because in the cottage, I started accumulating a lot of plants indoors and I had my garden. My garden was like 4,250 square meters. So it's a lot of garden to look after as well. And then here at my apartment, I have lots of plants too. So when I was there, I was constantly worrying about these ones and these ones, worrying about those ones. Yeah. So what I decided was at my cottage, I don't want to have too many house plants. So I think I probably have around 10 and that's it.
I love how 10 is not too many.
Well, when you have like 50 or 100 plants, 10 is quite a limited amount, but it's still a lot. So I've been dwindling it down in my cottage so that when I come in from being out in the garden, I don't have to also think that I've got lots of plants indoors that need to be attended to.
And by dwindling down, you mean you're moving them from the cottage to your apartment?
No. Well, some of them I have, and some have just gone on to different homes or things have happened.
Plant heaven? Plant heaven?
I have a lovely compost heap, Recycling, upcycling everything. It's good for the garden plants.
Okay.
So that's how I've managed it. Living between two homes is basically I've chose that at the cottage, I want to be able to concentrate on the garden and it takes a lot of my time. So not so many houseplants there. And in my apartment here, I really miss the greenery around me. I just wouldn't be able to live in this apartment without plants.
Without the plants. Tell me about the importance of your garden. And why you've got a garden and how you make it sustainable, that kind of thing. I mean, it's not very common to have someone who's be passionate about heaps and heaps of indoor plants, but also be very, very passionate about what goes on outside.
Yeah. Oh, the garden. I love the garden. For me, the garden is, as we've been talking about with the houseplants, just getting away from everything and in the zone. And in the garden, it's constantly changing. There's always something going on. And especially you have the seasons, the real seasons on top of it. And where I live, we have all the real seasons as well. So we go through, now we'll have a lot of snow. And it's only an hour and a half's drive away from my apartment here, but we could have snow there. And there's nothing here in Malmö where I'm living right now. I like to have the feeling of an escape for the first part of it. Our cottage is in the middle of the countryside, away from any big cities and things like that. And it's just this escape, and it's somewhere where I can go and I can be creative. So I love being creative. So in my garden, it's about making different rooms in the garden where I can have different types of plants and a different kind of theme. I love evergreen plants. And for us in Sweden, because the summers are quite short, I mean, it's so important to have plants that are green all year round. Otherwise, it's just brown everywhere.
Yeah.
I love that. And also, I'm getting more into planting edible perennial plants, for example, so that you don't have to buy as many fruits and vegetables from the supermarkets that are flown in from abroad or shipped in. And
Yeah.
it's less of an impact on the environment, but it's also better for you because you're producing crops that are, well, they taste better, they're ecological. And your love and energy is going into seeing the whole process, maybe from seed to grown up, or a perennial
to the plate.
plant. Yeah, perennial plants, like if you have different fruits, they give you a crop every year. I mean, I think I have 6 apple trees in our garden. We have 2 pear trees. I have gooseberries and all these different things, raspberries and all that kind of stuff. And it's an amazing feeling that you can go out in your own garden, nurture these plants, and they're actually giving you something back that is beneficial to your body. So this is basically body and mind.
And mind,
both elements in one. It's fantastic. And if you have too much, you can share it. But you can also, you can harvest and you can save and you can freeze things and have it for the winter months as well. That's what my garden's so important for my well-being. And when I'm out, I go out. I usually have a plan that I go out in the morning, maybe around 8, 9, and I'll just go out until I'm absolutely drained. And that could be like a couple of hours till lunch, or it could be that I forget the time and I come in at 4 o'clock in the evening and I'm like, I need to have lunch now. And I didn't realize the whole day's gone. That is like zoning out, being in the moment,
completely
gone from this world and just loving it.
But but in as much as you come back absolutely exhausted, you're so recharged as well.
And it's a different kind of feeling. Your whole body, you've used a lot of different muscles and you've had the fresh air all day and you sleep so well. As you say, your body is just completely energized by this, and then you sleep well and then you're refreshed the next day. That's a big part of the gardening for me.
That's fantastic. I would really love to get into that side of things at some point in my life.
And I think that can also be brought into people's homes. Like if you have a windowsill, you can grow plants that give you the benefits of vegetables. You can have chili plants, you can have tomato plants and things like that. You can have all your herbs. So you can kind of combine that with having your house plants as well. Something that I think is really important in a garden is lots of different seating areas so that you can sit and appreciate every part of your garden. So you don't have to just wander around and back and it's over and you can't really take in things. It's nice to have different areas to sit at different times, to take in all the details and appreciate everything. Now, at the moment, I am sitting in West Side Garden and we have this table here with 4 chairs, this white table. Very often we sit here in the morning and have breakfast, or we sit on the bench, as you can see over there, which is surrounded by these beautiful hydrangea arborescens Annabelle. A thing I've been thinking about through watching your videos actually, and I'm going to start doing this Lecca and semi-hydroponics because I think it's amazing. A thing that really makes me want to do it is one aspect that I find really difficult with the plants is when I take them to the bathroom and I want to shower them over, dirt is just everywhere. It's just so difficult to do that basic thing of wanting to keep my plants clean, knowing that I'm just going to get dirt everywhere and it puts me off. So sometimes I just don't take the plants and clean them because I don't want to, because the aftermath, the cleaning, the tidying, the disinfecting, everything. Oh, it's such a huge. But with the Lecca balls, I can imagine you just take the plant because you need to flush and spray it down anyway. It's not going to be a mess anywhere.
There's not going to be any mess anywhere. I just put it, it's so funny. Everything that you're saying is stuff that I've just recently done. I actually just did a video on how to flush my plants. So because some people are like, these are huge. How do you do it? You're not taking it to the sink. I'm like, I'll take it into the shower or I'll put it in the tub or I even take it outside. I don't live in an apartment, so I can actually take the plants outside. I just take them outside. I get my hose. I have them sit in something so the Lecca balls aren't flying around and I just...
done. I know
easy.
That is really why I want to make the transition. But
and you're not leaching. And the thing as well, when you're doing that with a plant in soil, you can't really put so much water in that. You're leaching out all the fertilizer and the nutrients, and everything is all just
everything. Everything. And that's why I'm like, okay, what I need to do is get plastic bags and put them around the bottom of the plant as much as possible to be able to spray over the plant. I mean, we're talking about bigger plants. That smaller plants, you can easily tip them to the side or whatever, but a bigger plant, it's difficult to do that with soil.
It is.
And then it's all going down the drain and everywhere. Soil is not it for me. I'm completely off the soil train and I'm never going back. And what I'm discovering is I went the other way because my plants are in soil, and because I need to get help to water my plants when I'm not here for maybe 3 weeks to a month.
Yeah.
If I get people to water them in a plastic pot, they always get overwatered, they get root rot, that's it. So I converted a lot of my plants to terracotta, and that is also turning out to be just as difficult, just as hard.
Yeah, because they're getting
too dry. And even if anyone comes to water them, it's not enough. And it's only in a certain area I'm finding in the pot because it wickers out so quickly.
Yeah.
I put all my Sansevierias in terracotta, and I found they actually don't really like it that much. It's too dry. They also need to have a lot more watering because they're in terracotta.
Yeah.
So when I'm not home and I need help with that, that's also really difficult. It's
it's really hard to get that balance.
Yeah, and that's why.
Whereas with semi-hydro, you just need to say, put it up to this level.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
that's all they need to do.
Solution ready, just fill it up to that level, and then I know I don't have to worry about that plant for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then when I come home, I can just go around and flush my plants through.
Exactly. Even flushing, it's something I talk about all the time. Yeah, my plants are lucky if they get flushed once a month.
Yeah, I mean,
lucky.
I see that happening when there's so many plants. That's it. Things like that are really sensitive to water, like Gopertia and Calathea and Stromanthes. I mean, they are so sensitive that that's just not going to work. They don't like water at all anyway. They're always going to brown out, whatever you do. They need you to fly in water directly from the Amazon rainforest.
From the Swiss Alps.
From the source and wherever, where it's pure and just got the right amount of nutrients, and then they'll be happy. But I'm wondering, I don't know if you have them in semi-hydro, if Calathea and that work better because you can balance out the...
Have you not seen my Calathea orbifolia?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you must go and find it.
So that works for Calathea as well, then.
I have a YouTube short, and I whack it out all the time because people want to see it. It's actually even a search term, Lecca Queen orbifolia.
So you have a giant orbifolia, then, I can imagine. Oh my God. And no browning edges or anything like that?
Very minimal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
But I would bring it for you, but it's way too much of an effort.
It's too big.
To go and get it.
But do you have to test the pH for that, or do you just use the same as all the other plants?
Whack it in with all the other plants. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Although I have to say, I do think it's a bit of a fluke, to be honest.
Some plants have better genes than others.
Well, see, this is what I tell people all the time. Yeah. Sometimes the plant is just a dud. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. I can't do anything for you. Out you go. I'll go get another one, and that one works. Sometimes it's just a plant.
It is. Yeah. And it's sad if you're someone new and you get the plant and it's a dud. But if you
they plant lemons too. Some plants are just lemons, and in the bin you go. I'll go and get another one. That's how it is. But I think with this orbifolia, I don't think it says anything about me as a carer. I think I was just lucky. I think it's just, I've had it in Lecca since I got it. Well, it wasn't soil. I moved it to Lecca. It did really well. And then I had it living in my grow tent. So it was really under a lot of light, humidity controlled. And then I took it out of the grow tent. So once it just got too big, it was hitting the walls of the grow tent. So I took it out. It's now living outside the grow tent. So I think the fact that in its formative years, it was under these perfect conditions. It's probably that helped.
Yeah, it strengthened it. I wondered because when I bought those kind of plants, I found that the bigger plants actually sustain and last longer than buying these small
teeny ones. Yeah,
they don't work. They can't adjust so easily.
Well, this was just absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Wesley, for joining me and, allowing us to have this fantastic conversation about how plants enhance our well-being, which is something that we rarely talk about, but, you've allowed us to have this lovely chat.
A little chat, yeah. Don't be afraid to get out there and talk about these things and nurture it and just embrace it because it's a fantastic world.
Yeah, it is. Now, if you don't know who Wesley is, that is a shame. You need to know. Now you know who he is. Go and check out his lovely channel, Wesley's Plant World. I've got the link to his channel in the description below. Check it out. Give him some love. Learn a few things about plants that are living outside. I'll see you next time on the Lecca Queen podcast. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.